Morning, everyone. Good morning, Lisa. Are you good to go in Payson?
We are good, or I am good to go.
Good deal. YouTube up and running? All right. Well, welcome everybody, and I'll start this meeting out Tuesday, November 15th, 2022 at 10 o'clock, pretty much straight up. And Cheryl, you want to lead us in the pledge? And Nick, you're going to do the invocation? Yeah. Thank you.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this day, and we're thankful that the Board of Supervisors is able to meet. And we ask Thee to have Thy Spirit to be with them, to help them discern and decide what is best for the county, and to best keep us going. And say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nick. Okay, we're going to start with number 2, public hearings. 2A, information, discussion, action to adopt resolution number 22-11-01 to name South Accuracy Way in the Tunnel Basin area. And we have Steve instead of Tom. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. This road recently needed named due to property development along the road. Letters were sent to the homeowners affected by it. No objections were received. So with that, I would ask you to accept the resolution and name the road South Accuracy Way.
Okay. Supervisor Humphrey, any questions or comments?
Yeah, did the people along the road come up with that name, or?
I don't know. I could find out. I'm just kind of standing in for Tom Homan.
Okay.
But,
Yeah, that's fine. that was kind of an odd name, so I was just
It
wondering
is,
where it came from.
It is. There are no other names. It meets the criteria.
Okay.
And stuff. Every resident was notified. No one objected, but
No, but yeah, that's fine. That was my only question. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you. No, I have no questions.
And neither do I, Steve. So with that, I'll call for a motion.
it's a public hearing.
Oh,
hearing.
yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
I'll open the public meeting at this time. Lisa, do you have anybody in Payson?
No, sir.
And I don't imagine there's anybody on YouTube. Okay, so I'll close the public meeting and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Pardon me? Is anybody here? No?
forever
We're
hold your
good.
peace.
Thank you. I'll get with it here eventually when I wake up, Jessica. So now I'll call for a motion. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I will move to adopt a resolution number 22-11-01.
I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Steve. 2B, information, discussion, action to consider a liquor license application, county number LL-22-07, submitted by Margaret Ruth Shortman for the transfer of a Series B liquor license at the Hideaway Bar and Grill, 1313 North Wheatfield Road in Globe, and issue a recommendation to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control whether the license should be granted. Missy?
Thank you, Chairman and Supervisors. The application was posted by the Sheriff's Department on October 13th and removed on November 4th. After the internal review had been done and conducted by all the internal departments, we received no, we received no pending issues and everything was clear. And we received no written arguments from any bona fide residents within 1 mile residencies. So we ask that you proceed with the hearing and hear from any local residents depending on Mrs. Shortman's application and proceed with your recommendation whether to recommend or grant or deny the license to the DLLC.
Thank you, Missy. Any questions for Missy? Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions. I think this was the old Bernie's.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. No.
Supervisor Christensen? Neither do I, so I'll open the public hearing now. And Lisa, you're still by yourself?
Yes, sir.
Anybody on YouTube? And no one here that I see, so I'll close the public hearing and call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to recommend that the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control approve the liquor license application submitted by Margaret Ruth Sportman for the Hideaway Bar and Grill.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Now on to number 3, regular agenda items, 3A. I need a motion to adjourn as the Gila County Board of Supervisors and convene as a Gila County Library District Board of Directors.
I will make the motion to adjourn as the Gila County Board of Supervisors, convene as the Gila County Library District Board of Directors.
And I'll second that motion.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning.
So information, discussion, action to adopt policy number LBD-PUB-002, Gila County Library District Internet Acceptable Use.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
yours.
Chair and board members. If you will recall, I was in front of you a couple of weeks ago with this policy as an information item. The acceptable use policy that we're asking that you adopt today updates a policy that was adopted by the Board of Supervisors in 1999. And we made no changes since I presented this the first time. This keeps us in compliance with federal and state regulations and laws and just updates some of the language and some of the citations. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Jackie. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen?
Neither do I, thank you.
And neither do I, so I'd entertain a motion for this.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt policy number LBD PUB-002.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. 3B, information, discussion, action to adopt policy number LBD-PUB-002, Gila County Library District Collection Development. Jackie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. I presented this about 2 weeks ago, and I've made no changes to the original presentation in terms of the policy itself. LBD PUB 003, the Library District Collection Development Policy, is a new policy. When the Library District was initially established, these many years ago, the Library District was an administrative office and didn't really have collections. Collections are sets of, didn't really have a collection of books or materials. In the last 20 years, we have added electronic resources, so we have electronic collections that the Library District provides our portion of the access to for all the public libraries. We also have a library in Hayden that the town of Hayden no longer runs as a town library, and so the Library District runs as a branch. Therefore, we need to have a collection development policy to cover the collections that we now have. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Jackie. Supervisor Humphrey?
No questions.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, no questions.
I'm good with this as well. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt policy number LBD-PUB-003.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to 3C, information, discussion, action to approve library service agreements with the San Carlos Apache Tribe for the San Carlos Public Library for the period of July 1st, 22 to June 30th, 23. And we have a new Jackie. Hi, Elaine. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, board members. Thank you. This is our last library service agreement for this year. It's from the San Carlos Library. You'd already approved 4 of them back in July, 2 of them back in September. This is our last one, and we ask that you approve.
Thank you, Elaine. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen?
No questions, thank you.
And I'm good as well, Elaine. It's good. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the library service agreement with the San Carlos Apache Tribe for the San Carlos Public Library for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn as Gila County Library District Board of Directors and reconvene as the Gila County Board of Equalization.
So moved, Chairman.
I second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 3D, information discussion action to receive and accept Board of Equalization Hearing Officer H. Charles Johnson's recommendation for petition for review of notice of change for the tax year 2023 hearings that were conducted on November 7th, 2022. And Missy, this one's yours.
Thank you, Chairman and Supervisors. Under revised statutes require that each year the assessor issue notice of change cards to property owners that have made improvements to their property in any way since the last time the assessor issued notice of value cards. Property owners who disagree with the assessor's valuation of their property can follow a process that outlines in the ARS to appeal the assessor's valuation. The process starts with the appealing directly to the assessor, and after meeting with the assessor, if the property owner is still not satisfied, the property owner can appeal to the Board of Equalization. The Board of Supervisors appointed a hearing officer to conduct these hearings and make recommendations to the Board of Equalization. All petitions that meet the statute's requirements are scheduled for hearings, and this year, the Deputy Clerk of the Board received 2 petitions for review of notice of change to set for hearings, and those petitions included 2 appeals for 2 parcels, and the petitions that appealed at the BOE level one had no change in value, and one had one decrease. The Board of Supervisors, acting as the Board of Equalization, needs to vote to accept the hearing officer's recommendations for the valuation review for the tax year 20 of 23 for hearings that were conducted on November 7th of 2022.
Thank you, Missy. Supervisor Humphrey, questions or comments?
I have no questions other than I'm glad that Mr. Charles Johnson is doing these hearings for the taxes.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, no questions.
And I'm good with that as well, so with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to receive and accept the Board of Equalization Hearing Officer H. Charles Johnson's recommendation for petition for review of notice of change for the tax year 2023 hearings that were conducted on November the 7th, 2022.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I need a motion to adjourn as Gila County Board of Equalization and reconvene as a Gila County Board of Supervisors.
Mr. Chairman, I will so moved on that.
I'll second the so moved.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. E, information discussion action to accept a fiscal year 23 grant award contract number 23-PTS-023 in the amount of $25,000 from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety for the period of October 1st, 22 to September 30th, 23. That will be used to support Sheriff's Office personnel services, overtime, and employee-related expenses for selective traffic enforcement program, speed enforcement activities. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I'm just here to do a new contract with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. They give us money. We've been lucky annually for overtime. It's either usually DUI or speed related. This year is speed related in the amount of $25,000. This will go for extra enforcement on high traffic areas and holiday weekends is our hope. And the contract will go from October 1st, like you said, till September 20th of 2023. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Supervisor Humphrey?
This is kind of more of an overtime.
It is,
Fund.
yeah, so it's over and above. So each officer who signs up for this and does these speed-related details has to already have their 40 hours in
Okay.
to be eligible to be paid from this grant.
Okay. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Sarah. I have no questions.
So when it says selective traffic enforcement, that just means that it's for speed?
Sure, yeah. Every now and then you'll find, they actually cite for whatever they find during that period of time. So, I mean, we'll get a few DUIs during that time as well, but their goal is to be out and be targeting speed-related, like criminal activity citations. Did I say that right? Thank you.
Almost. So,
So
okay.
they're looking, their main focus is for speed.
Yeah, nothing above the normal then.
Right, but they'll find, I mean, I have the guys, they'll pull over DUIs, obviously suspended license. When you're stopping cars, they'll find stuff that is above and beyond speed.
So 25,000 doesn't go very far for overtime, does it?
So believe it or not, you would think it doesn't go that far. We actually struggle to spend it right now because of the staffing levels. When the staffing levels are low, they're already pulling overtime for us to cover regular shifts. And so there's not a whole lot for them to do above and beyond that. Our hope is that when we get fully staffed, that, yeah, they'll burn through this quickly.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept an FFY 2023 grant award contract number 2023 PTS 023 in the amount of $25,000 for the Governor's Office of Highway Safety for the period of October 1st, 2022 to September 20th, 2023.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
On to F, information discussion action to adopt revised policy number BOS-FIN-113-procurement. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. Back in October, we reviewed the policy at a work session and incorporated the changes that made a change to the selection process when tie bids came in, putting in a local preference recommendation. Also, we clarified the language for cooperative purchasing that it seemed like there was the process wasn't reflective of what we do. So those were the two major changes in this policy. There was some typographical errors also corrected. So we're asking that you approve the policy as presented. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mary. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, Mary. I just have one question. So on page 10 of 36, the low tie bids, which is what we did ask for, one of the big differences of the document. So it describes one scenario, but there could be more scenarios within this. So I guess what I'm saying is that if there's identical bids and one is a local Gila County contractor, then we can award that to them.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, that's correct.
Okay, what if there, and then you say if no local bidders submitted bids, then awards may be by random selection. But what if both bidders were local? Should that language be in there? Or is it assumed?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, we didn't get down to that granular of level. If we had two local bidders that were identical, then I would think it would be by random selection.
Yes, I would think so as well. It just doesn't state that. It says if they are not local bidders. So I just didn't know if that needed to be included in the final language.
We can include that and get to that level if you would like that change.
It's not that I care. I just wonder if, okay, it's just not specifically stated that way. So it's giving two scenarios where three might exist, is what I'm saying.
I think the odds of that happening are about a million to none, but anyway, it's up to you and it's up to the attorney if they think it's necessary.
Jessica?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, so both situations are reflecting a may. So in a situation where there are two local bidders and they're not identical in price, then we can move forward accordingly to the procurement officer's decision at that point. These are two scenarios with a may. I understand your concern. Yes, ideally, we can throw another sentence in there to guide the procurement officer, but at the end of the day, these are just mays. So there could be other situations.
Okay, so there's still flexibility with the use of the word may. So that's all I really wanted to ask about. Thank you.
You got everybody to thinking. That's good.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
it might be that if we're going to specify that if it's no in-county bidders, but we have external, that we're going to do a random selection of two out-of-county bidders, that it would make sense, as Supervisor Christensen has said, to have it specified if there's in-county, or else we could just say that if there's an in-county and an out-county that are the same, we're going to give preference in-county, and call that good at the end of the day, and that we don't need to get into the detail of who we select or how we select if there's tie bids for an internal or external. Might be, I think would be my recommendation is to not have that specified, only that we can give a preference in county if we have tie bids.
Okay. Does that help?
Yes. Should I reflect that in my motion?
We'll get to that in a minute. So, Mary, thanks for going through this and changing these things. I had a question for you on page 34, under 15, cooperative procurement. That was, I see all the red lines in there and everything, but there's a part in there that says that you took out that all agreements entered into shall be signed and approved by the board. Is it specified somewhere else in this document that I missed that the board is the ultimate one to make the decisions?
Mr. Chairman, supervisors, in the cooperative purchasing realm, if the purchasing has met all the standards of the Arizona statutes and our procurement, we review that to make sure that we can properly use those contracts. That language said that for every cooperative purchasing agreement that some other agency made would have to come to you for your approval. We bring it to you for your approval once we've done that due diligence and reviewed their information. That's why I took that out, because we'd be bringing multitudes of contracts that we may not be using. You'd be.
Okay,
So
I got you now.
Yeah, it's let us do the review, and then if we so desire to use that contract for cooperative purchasing, then we bring those contracts to you.
Okay. All right, that was my question on that, and I think the rest of it is all right, and we'll give it a shot. So with that, I'd entertain a motion unless there's something else from either one of you. We good?
So I don't know if the motion should be adjusted for item 3F to include additional language clarifying or subtracted language clarifying the low bid process that we just discussed.
Mr. Chairman, Mary is our procurement expert, and I would ask her what her preference would be, and it should be, I think it either needs to have language that is consistent for internal, external, or to not have it at all, because that's part of the process that you go through typically, and to, like you say, Mary, legislate. Every little thing gets too cumbersome when it's not necessary.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Christensen, I like the way it reads as is. If I had 3 bids that are all identical in price, what am I going to do in that situation? I like a little bit of flexibility here, because if we have 2 bids, 3 bids, are we gonna do I mean, I could list every scenario you came up with. Trying to keep it simplified, to me,
Okay.
is a better route to go.
Well, as Mr. Supervisor Humphrey stated, it could be 1,000,000 to 1 chance that any of that'll happen ever
could
again
be.
anyway. So, no, I'm good then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So if we're all good, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to adopt policy number BOS-FIN-113 on procurement.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mary. On to G, information, discussion, action to approve intergovernmental agreement, contract number CTR 060267 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $1,229,059 to provide COVID-19 vaccination services from July 1st, 22 to June 30th, 24. Josh, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, member supervisors. So this one is mainly, it extended our contract one more year from 23 to 24. So we have till June of 2024 for this funding. A lot of this funding is the same funding we've had since 2019 when the pandemic started. So it's really just extending that. And they finally split up the regular vaccine funds that we have and the COVID vaccine funds that we have. So this is a new purchase order and IGA to kind of separate those finally.
Thank you, Josh. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen?
No questions, thank you.
So are you gonna use up all this money by 24, when time's up, or?
We'll be pretty close, yeah. We
So
have a-
I seen on the newsletter that Michael put out, you're still doing a few vaccinations here and there. Good, okay. All right, with that, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the intergovernmental agreement contract number CTR 060267 with the Arizona Department of Health Services in the amount of $1,229,059 from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2024.
I will second.
Having a motion and second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Josh. H, information, discussion, action to accept hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant program funding award from the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality in the amount of $23,000 for the federal fiscal year 22 through 23 with no non-federal match requirement. And this is your last one, Josh.
So just to give the quick recap, so ADEQ runs the Arizona CERC, which is the State Emergency Response Commission. And then by statute, each one of the counties has a local emergency planning committee, which Supervisor Humphrey graciously sits on with us. And with that, we receive, kind of automatically, we receive $20,000 a year. They just give each one of the counties $20,000, and then we can ask for more or less depending on what. We've decided in Gila County that we use a portion of that money we run a conference once a year that we invite all of our fire and the mines and all of our response community, the hospitals to, and that's worked out really well for us so far. Supervisor Humphrey can comment if he has any other opinions on that, but it seemed to really work out well for us, and it brings everyone together. And then we use the rest of that money also at that conference to update our plan that's state mandated to be updated, the kind of our hazmat plan for the county each year. And then there's a little bit of money there. I think there's about $7,000 or $8,000 of that $23,000 is for our people in our fire services that want to take hazmat courses so that we're more hazmat prepared in the county. It's difficult for them to get off in their normal work hours, so this pays for backfill and overtime for them to take those higher level operator hazmat classes.
Thanks, Josh. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
Supervisor Christensen?
Neither do I. Thank you, Josh.
Sounds like you got good use for this money, Josh. That's good. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll move to accept the Hazardous Material Emergency Preparedness Grant Program Funding Award from the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality in the amount of $23,000.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Josh.
Josh, thank you.
On to I, information, discussion, action approval of amendment number 1 to professional services contract number 012021 012-1 with Canyon Country Design Incorporated, and amendment number 1 to professional services contract number 012021-2 with GH2 Architects with a not to exceed of $100,000 per year per contract for on-call services. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm here this morning wishing to get approval on executing amendment number 1 to our professional services contracts with Canyon Country Design and GH2 Architects. Both of these contracts were put out to bid last year, and these two companies were chosen. Having more than one on-call design and architectural company on contract, this will enable staff to have professional concepts and drawings readily available for remodeling or construction. This should speed up the process for future remodeling and/or building projects. The companies were chosen and the contracts that staff are seeking to amend and renew are Canyon Country Design and GH2 Architects. Each contract would have a not-to-exceed contract amount of $100,000 per year, and we do not anticipate that either company will reach that threshold with the current list of planned projects. Therefore, we're seeking approval of amendment number 1 to professional service contract number 01201-1 with Canyon Country Design, and amendment number 1 to professional services contract 01021-2 with GH2 Architects with a not to exceed of $100,000 per year per contract.
Thank you, Christina. Supervisor Humphrey?
My question is, it says not to exceed $100,000 per year per contract. So if we call one of them to design a bathroom, they can charge up to $100,000 for that bathroom, and then a week later, we call them to do a building for the dump, and then that's another drawing that they can do up to not exceed $100,000.
I believe if they reach the $100,000 threshold, at that point, we would have to go out for a new contract if they go over that amount.
Oh, okay, so
Is the way I'm reading, is that correct, Mary Joseph? Okay.
Yeah,
So we wouldn't
I'm
exceed
just
that
wondering,
amount.
because they could do $1 million worth of contracts.
Right.
And here, we've just approved it. Here you go, guys.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Humphrey, those contracts were bid with our hourly rates for different trade levels, whether it's an architect or a designer, whatever they're doing. And so they bill on an hourly rate. So when they enter into a project, the facilities folks and that company probably review the project to come up with what they think that pricing is going to be. The not to exceed is $100,000. If they get close to that threshold in the course of a year, they would come back to the board and ask to amend that contract if they look like they're going to exceed that amount. But it's only for services performed on-call basis.
Okay, I was just being sure that that wasn't a ceiling amount per ask per project. Okay. I'm more comfortable now, thank you.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you. No, I have no questions.
So these architect contractors would be the ones would be using for like any new, whatever we're doing in any of our facilities, including fairgrounds, vet center, all that, right?
Correct. We've been using Canyon Country Design right now. She's getting pretty stacked. So if anything new comes our way, we're probably going to have to reach out to GH2 and see what they can do for us.
So have we come anywhere close to spending $100,000 yet on?
We haven't spent anything on GH2 yet. Canyon Country Design, we've spent about $20,000 this year. I did just get a new invoice for $59,000, so we'll see where that goes. But if we start using GH2, I don't think it's gonna go very far.
Okay.
Because we've got, I think we're pretty well into the planning phase of most of our projects right now. So
Okay.
it would be more if, new things start rolling our way and we need architecture and design.
Well, the one good thing I'm hearing is if we have to amend this, if it does reach that point, why we have that ability to do it, so.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Christina. That I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt amendment number 1 to professional services contract number 012021-1 with Canyon Country Design Incorporated, and amend number 1 to professional services contract number 012021-2 with GH2 Architects with a not-to-exceed of amount of $100,000 per year per contract for on-call services.
I will second, Mr. Chairman.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
On to J, information, discussion, action to consider the request for funding and approval of the intergovernmental agreement between Gila County and the Tono Natural Resource Conservation District, NRCD, number 10272022, whereby the county will disperse $100,000 to the Tono NRCD to assist in the match funds that are required to the U.S. Forest Service for the Reading the Range program and establishing a seed harvesting and reseeding program, which the board has found to be for the benefit of the public. James?
Mr. Chairman, good morning, members of the board. This morning, I'd like you to consider the National Resource Conservation District. This is a program, of course, that we've had many discussions about in the past through the cooperative extension, the U of A cooperative extension. Well, it pains my heart to acknowledge what a great program that they have there at the U of A. I'm sorry. I got it. But the state of Arizona has established the conservation districts in Arizona. And this is an IGA, an intergovernmental agreement with that NRCD in order to promote the forest health, the land health that we have in Gila County. I do have a presentation that I would like for Sammy Jenkins that will give some more background and detail of the program and the project. And this would be a partnership that we're requesting of $100,000 to partner with the NRCD in order to further these programs in Gila County. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman,
You bet, James.
turn this over to
Yeah.
Sammy. And they tell me to just hit the button to ride forward.
Good morning, Sammy.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. I'm Sammy Jenkins. I'm a resident of Roosevelt, and there my husband and I raise cattle on a ranch. But today I'm here to visit with you about the Tono Natural Resources Conservation District, of which I'm a member, a cooperator, and a supervisor on their board of supervisors. Today, I really appreciate the opportunity to come visit with you about who we are, what we're currently doing in Gila County, and most importantly, what we can do together for the constituents of Gila County regarding the management and conservation of all resources and land in our district. And please bear with me, this is pretty wordy. I'll go through it as fast and as quickly as I can, but where it's understandable, and I'm happy to answer questions at the end. Alrighty, what is a natural resource conservation district? In 1935, Congress passed a public law that established the Soil Conservation Service as a permanent agency of the USDA as a response to the devastation of the Dust Bowls of the 30s. In 1994, the service was renamed the Natural Resource Conservation Service to better reflect the broadened scope of the agency's concerns. Then in 1941, the Arizona legislature took the federal government standard soil conservation law and established Arizona's conservation districts. Initially, there were only 4 districts across the state, but now there are 42. The districts were given a broad authority to work on all types of natural resource conservation practices across all land ownership and all land use types. There's a map of the current 42 districts in Arizona, and you can see, is there a, no, it's okay. You know where we're at. All the boundaries of our district are right here within the boundaries of Gila County. Each district is run by a board of locally elected or appointed farmers, ranchers, and other land managers that we call supervisors. And these supervisors work with stakeholders and district cooperators to identify resource conservation needs, set priorities, and help implement conservation practices at the local level. Supervisors are unpaid, and they dedicate thousands of volunteer hours a year to help implement this conservation work and help the local agriculture producers and land users. Our cooperators are local producers and land users who reside within the district. The district boards then join forces with them to leverage available resources by collaborating with over 20 federal, state, and tribal agencies, among many other stakeholders, who have either authority, funding, or expertise in the management of land, water, air, wildlife, or other natural resources. Conservation districts, like the Tonto, are essential partners. Excuse me. There we go. Pardon me. Conservation districts are essential partners of the Natural Resource Conservation Service and Arizona State Land Department, serving as the glue between them and private landowners or state lessees. We function as that glue, or the linchpin, if you will, in many possible situations, much like the recent post-fire work that was done by our members, cooperators, and supervisors that helped alert our legislature and secure the $3.7 million that came to Gila County to give us some relief as a result of the devastating fires. As a district, our mission is to provide and promote leadership in the use and conservation of natural resource through stewardship and education programs. And our current commitments include stream bank stabilization, noxious weed identification and control, watershed and forest management, and forest health. These broad issues are being addressed through our current programs. We have 3. You've heard about our Reading the Range program. We've been here to visit with you a few times about that. It's showing to provide dynamic scientific data on ways to improve grazing, increase ground cover, create that more optimal watershed and forest conditions, and decrease or better manage our fuel load. Currently, 90% of all grazing allotments in our district are participating in this program now, and there is a projected participation rate of 100% of the active grazing permits in the district to be functional and in the program by 2023. One of our other programs is the Tonto Weed Management Program, which also kind of feeds into our reseeding project, which is also in cooperation with our Reading the Range project. And then our Tonto National Resource Conservation Ed Center, which includes Ag Days that's held at the H4 Ranch in Tonto Basin, and a cohort with the Arizona Farm Bureau by and where we provide ag education in the classroom to 4th and 5th graders countywide. And we've been doing that for about 8 years now. Our new initiatives want to focus on the seeding and the harvesting of locally grown seed and the reseeding of that, mostly in the scars of the recent burns. That locally grown seed is already locally adapted. It has a better take rate. It's more fit for our environment. We're committed to providing education and ongoing education and leadership programs in conservation. Here's a picture of what was going on at Ag Days at the recent one that they had at the H4 Ranch back in the spring. Here we have kids getting ready to put some seeds into seed balls that were then seeded up on El Capitan a couple of slides ago. You can see here in the corner, there is the results of some of the reseeding, revegetation projects we've done, and we've already had a 60% germination rate, which was higher than anticipated. All right, get me back to where I was, sorry. In conclusion, the Tonto NRCD you can now see is an important tool for the county's dynamic conservation concerns. The addition of these proposed new programs will be able to enhance our current efforts and help foster a healthy watershed as well as a healthy forest and create more diversity of vegetation. The current socioeconomic impact of the Tanos NRCD programs vary from reading the range to the cooperator wildfire response efforts, even our Ag Education Center, which annually puts over 1,500 volunteer hours into Ag Days and Ag in the Classroom. I would like to point out that the NRCD is the only organization, local, state, or federal, that has such a broad authority to work across land ownerships and land use types, as we are not restricted by any specific concerns like water or wildlife or land ownership. We can deal with it all in a holistic approach. I really thank you for your time today, and do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Sammy. Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions other than thank you for your interest and participation in doing all that you do. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Tammy, for the presentation. Just a couple questions. So maybe James can remind us, we donate to the NRCD every year anyway. In what amount?
It will vary. This is more than we typically have done for specific things of all the fires that we've had recently.
Right.
So this is an address to revegetate all the burned areas. So it's an increased amount. Chairman Klein could probably give more details on that, but it is an amount that's greater.
Okay. And this is to help also assist in receiving a grant.
It is. It's going to help us get some grassroots work done on the ground in order to apply for the grants that we're looking for in the receding area. We've got to make maps of where our noxious weeds exist and address those, as well as a couple of other background steps to apply for these grants. It is our hope that after this, you're only going to see us to hear from us about how well we're doing. This is going to give us a nest egg so we can launch pad our programs to where we become self-sustainable.
Right. Okay. Well, I know it's a great program, so I just wanted to ask those questions to help me understand better what we're doing.
Yes,
So
sir.
thank you, Tammy.
Thanks.
Sammy, thank you. I don't have any questions for you, but I have some comments. And one thing that you're going to see me do, I have to recuse myself from this vote because I am the chair on this board. I've been the chair for, I don't know, almost a year, I guess, or coming up on a year. But anyway, so the NRCD, and I'm still learning myself about the NRCD districts. There's a lot the NRCD districts can do and what they're actually responsible to do. This NRCD district was where originally the Reading the Range began through the U of A and the NRCDs. Got started in the early 2000s. They also went in there and established that Ed Center that Lori Brown does, and she does an outstanding job with it. Has a lot of kids enrolled in that and has done well. And through the money that this NRCD district has received through the state, we were able to keep that going, thank God. And so that's really doing well. What Sammy is saying is absolutely correct. We need to go on and be in a position to set up for more grants so we can start building this NRCD. And in order to do that, then we need to do some things like mapping for the noxious weeds, keeping our Reading the Range program going, putting in a seed harvesting program. I was really excited to hear from Ashley just a week or so ago about the success of those seeds that we did put out. The 4-H kids and U of A did the seed balls along with the Ed Center. And Ashley was hoping we'd get 50% germination rate on it, and we actually got 60. So these were, the seeds that they were using were actually purchased seeds from other areas. So what Ashley's thought is that if we're able to put a program together where we can actually harvest our own seeds in Gila County and use them, whether it's our fires or it's our mastication projects, or if it's somebody that is just trying to get vegetation started, then we'll have local seeds that's more adaptive. And we're hoping to see that and get a better than 60% germination. Also, Game and Fish is really, really interested in this seed harvesting program as well. So we're hoping we can get started with that, bring in some more partners to collaborate with us on this, and build this program up as well. So what I guess I'm trying to say is we haven't functioned fully yet as far as a NRCD goes, a district goes, but we're headed there really quick. We participated in the fires last year on the Mescal fire and the Telegraph fire. Learned a lot from that process before we turned it all over to the state NRCD to do it. And so there's more we need to do, more cooperators we need to bring on board and so forth. So that's where we are with NRCDs. You guys have any other questions for me or Sammy?
I was just gonna say, I don't think that we'd have cattle on the range without this. And I don't think that we'd have the wildlife we have. I don't think we'd have everything going without this program. And I do appreciate Mr. Menlove's subtle reference to the U of A versus the ASU.
I'm sorry.
Actually, we're equal opportunity educators. We send our kids to all three.
Yeah, okay.
Supervisor Humphrey, you have anything else?
I'm good.
One more point I'd like to make of this, and this came across here, it's been building for about the last year, is that extra money that we have received from the feds, that $12 million, because of our public lands and our administrating these public lands. This actually fits very well into that as well. So with that, I'm gonna recuse myself and call for a motion and a vote and go from there.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the IGA between Gila County and the Tono Natural Resource Conservation District, number 1027222, which the board has found to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor, do so by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to K, information, discussion, action to consider a sealed bid for the purchase of Assayers tax parcel number 302-41-144, and if accepted, authorize the chairman's signature on the quitclaim deed. Missy?
Thank you, Chairman and board members. This subject property is a small dirt road leading to parcel number 302-41-142C, which is owned by Scott D. Keeney. And this road will allow ingress and egress to Mr. Keeney's parcel and is a requirement from the town of Payson for a building permits for his property. And the total lien amount on this is $694.70. Mr. Keeney recently met with me and asked that, he explained that he must purchase this property from the state of Arizona so that he can build his home due to requirements placed on him by the town of Payson. So I requested from him a sealed bid. May I open the sealed bid?
Yeah, go ahead, Missy.
Mr. Keeney submitted a sealed bid of $100.
Thank you, Missy. Supervisor Humphrey, any comments or questions?
I have no questions. My comment would be that it helps create infrastructure and it's not doing anybody any good right now. So I think it's a good thing.
Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you. Yeah, it's astonishing to me. There's no access to this property already? How do we have properties like that?
We have a lot of properties like that, to be honest. I tried contacting the town of Payson. They weren't interested in purchasing the road to allow Mr. Keeney access, and so they were requesting that he purchase the road itself.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good, Missy. This will help those folks out. That's good. So with that, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the sealed bid from Scott D. Kinney for $100 for ESSER tax parcel number 30241-44 and authorize a quitclaim deed to be completed.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. On to number 4, consent agenda action items. Is there anything either one of you want to address separately?
I don't care to address one separately, but I would like to comment on 4D.
Okay,
Mr. Chair?
are you good with it as it is?
I'm good with
Steve,
it.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just have had 2 openings on the Industrial Development Authority for Gila County, and I have chosen 2 people to set on the Industrial Development Authority for Gila County, and one of them is Jeanette Herrera, who is here today, who has been in real estate in Gila County for a long time and is interested in the community. And the other one is Shelby Borrowdale, who is a licensed contractor who is working in Gila County as well as an interested person in what goes on in Gila County. So now that I have appointed those, it'll make it easier for the IDA to go forward and have the people that it needs to do the necessary jobs that they come up with. So
Good deal.
I want to thank them very much for accepting those appointments.
You bet. Welcome aboard. All right, and you're good, Steve?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, I have a motion to accept them.
I'll move to approve consent agenda items 4A through 4G.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Call to the public. Lisa, do we have anybody in Payson?
No, sir.
Do we have anybody on YouTube? And we have no one here that I see. So moving on to our updates. Number 6, James, do you have anything you want to share with us?
Mr. Chairman, yes. Want to notice that we are having on Friday, we'll be holding a short board meeting to canvass the election, from November 8th, 2022, the general election, to finalize and canvass the results of the election for Gila County. Let you know that I have been appointed or elected as the chairman of the Arizona County Managers Association, which is the group of managers that all work together through the County Supervisors Association. So I've been appointed chairman for that group. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good deal. Thank you, James. Supervisor Humphrey?
Just my monthly meetings, held a Tonto Basin community meeting, held a Roosevelt community meeting. And at my Roosevelt meeting yesterday, I had 50 people there plus, and it was a really good meeting. I like those outer areas where I have, like Tonto Basin and Gila and Roosevelt, people actually show up to communicate and let us know what's going on. And then I was on KQSS last night and call-ins and no call-ins, but it was good to be on the radio and share information with people. And I also attended a local chamber mixer. And so that's about all for me lately, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Supervisor Christensen?
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations, James, for that, being a chairman to the county managers. Yeah. I was on the radio on KRIM. That went well. I'll be on KMOG coming Monday. And had a meeting with Matt Pachorik and Andrea Abel with the local Forest Service there in the Payson area. And we're starting to fire up a much more aggressive approach toward the Fossil Creek area again, now that we've been through the fire and everything. And to that end, Gary Morris and I are meeting on Thursday to discuss those things, strategies, and all of that. So we're going to be firing that up. Was at the Veterans Coffee last Tuesday. They hold them every Tuesday. So usually when I'm not here, I go to that. And so that's always a good time. We did have a Veterans Day celebration in Payson, and that went well. good attendance, a lot of great people, a lot of veterans in our area. And we appreciate all of them. And so I was told that I was appointed to the Gila County Provisional Community College District Board to help set up the, to help move the college toward an independent status, okay? So, and I appreciate that very much. I'm very happy to serve there. Had a meeting with Jan Brocker and Jessica Scabelli the other day. A man named Fernando Shipley, which apparently most people know here in town. I'll be meeting with him on Friday. He and I are the sole members of the committee at the board at the moment. We're going to appoint 3 more people. And then we're going to start working on getting that community college toward an independent status of its own, to where, and what that basically means is we're going to be able to keep more tax dollars, Gila County tax dollars in Gila County, and create a place where people can have accreditations that they can transfer. Very important stuff. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Good deal. So November 9th, I attended a meeting at Bullion Plaza, discussed some opportunities to work with some historical sites, and the discussion was also held to try and work together to bring up a board to help with our cemeteries, which would really be good. I know the one in Globe, we've worked on it and everything. I know Tim has over there in Central Heights as well, and it's a chore. So seems like there's a lot of attention out there. There's definitely a lot of attention on our historical sites. Tom Foster with Bullion Plaza is going to be pushing on some of that. So, and November 10th, I was in an NRCD meeting here in Globe. That went very well, had a good turnout. And then last Friday, Veterans Day, I attended the breakfast in Pleasant Valley. So it's been good. Anything else? You guys bring up anything?
I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Good. So with that, I think we're.
I have one
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
Is that one of those, Supervisor Christensen, one of those voluntold things that? One of those voluntold?
Voluntold. I haven't heard that term, but yeah, I appreciate that. Just next time ask, maybe something, maybe I won't be. No, this is a good one. No, I appreciate being on it very much, so thank you.
I thank you very much for that. The college is important to Gila County, and appreciate your willingness to.
Yes,
work with
thank you very much.
Well, with that, thank you all for being here this morning, and we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks.